Hey guys, this is Mike with Ideas by Mike. Today on Stories, Resources, and Ideas, we are living history right now, and we're going to talk about that because the stories being crafted now will be told forever, and we're going to talk about the resources and ideas you can use to build wealth for the long term.
All right, welcome back to Stories, Resources, and Ideas. I'm your host, Mark Conway, and I am always joined by the man with the financial plan, Mr. Mike Milligan. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. The weather has changed. I'm starting to see a little bit of warmth out there. I mean, spirits start to get lifted. It's a good thing.
That is absolutely right. You see it in what people are wearing outside.
Yes, you do.
To get around. I mean, you can tell when the weather turns.
Very quickly.
If you open your eyes. I mean, you don't have to feel it, man. Use your other senses. It's crazy. I was having that conversation in the office yesterday with our staff. So, yeah, it's good. We're getting ready to spring forward too.
Yep.
Days are going to get longer. We're going to be able to actually see some sunlight after work too.
That will be a plus because I was just talking with the twins the other day. At 5 o'clock, you're already starting to get dark.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see sun a little longer.
Yep. I think next Monday or, coming up here in the week or so, we're going to get dark past 7 o'clock in the Eastern time zone, which is going to be nice.
I will take it.
Yeah. Hey, we're actually just living in historical times, Mark. So I want to jump right into it today because there's a lot to really talk about with what's going on in the world, and I want to get right to it. Gas prices. Have you noticed them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My wallet notices them.
Yeah, it does. They're through the roof. We actually, as of the time of this recording, we are today going to hit a historical high in the history of America for gas prices. The last time gas was this high was July of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a data geek because I am a planner.
Right.
And we look for, financial plans are really something that are living and breathing. But what we really look for is financial outcomes. We want people to have their money turn into something. We're looking for an outcome, a financial outcome. But in these times, financial outcomes are really tested because of surges or things we don't plan for. They're called black swan events, things that just, you don't see a black swan every day.
Mm-hmm.
You see white swans. So a black swan event is something that we talk about in the financial world. They happen infrequently. Well, they're happening quite often now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess black swans are breeding because of COVID and many other things. But I want to talk about how this impacts people and share some stories. I want to go back first to 2008. If you think about that time a little bit, we just within 8 years, come off of Y2K. We thought computers were going to crash because of the 0-1 digits
mm-hmm.
and 99 turning to 0 on dates. We just thought the world was coming to an end. We didn't know computers. We didn't have technology like we have today. We thought that was going to exist. The bubble bursted on tech. Everything that was .com went down in value. 9/11 happened.
Yep.
2001 happened. We keep going through the decade, and we have these things pop up. And we're talking about 22 years ago, so we can remember historically some of the things that happened. But, can we really talk about what happened between 1900 and 1920 with any definite authority?
No.
I mean, history has a way of being lived daily. And as it's lived daily, if you think about 1900 or 1920, the only thing you can really think about is, World War I.
Mm-hmm.
That's the historical thing that happened during that time that people talk about. Such a big picture thing. 100 years from now, people are not going to be really talking about the dot-com burst of 2000 or the potential dot-com burst of 2001, 2, 3. They're not going to be talking about, they're really not even going to be talking about, they will be talking about 9/11.
Right.
We'll be talking about that one forever. We won't be talking about the market meltdown in 08, 09. We won't talk about interest rates, historical lows throughout a decade. We probably to be honest with you, will not even be talking about the gas price increase of March of 2022. But we are living history right now. And this story is evolving. I mean, it's just coming so fast because we went from $2.80 a gallon to $4.30, probably to $5 very soon. It's happening so fast. I mean, it's like rapid speed, and it's accelerating. And it's what happens during historical events. When history happens, things, time and events rapidly accelerate. You know, countries get invaded. There's results of that, like gas prices now because Russia being the third largest producer of oil in the world, sanctions being put on them. Well, when one of the big three goes out of production or out of cycle because of whatever political forces are there, it's going to put stress on the number one, number two, number four, number five producers in the country and the world, and then it's going to trickle down to us individually. And this story that's evolving today, that's real life, just like you said, is impacting pocketbooks of everybody. I don't care how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter how little you have. This historical event that's happening in our lifetime that very few people will remember 100 years, 200, 300 years from now. It'll be recent history. Things that we won't remember are impacting us. And so there's some resources that we can use to live during historic times. And I, as a financial professional, financial planner that likes to talk about financial outcomes, talks about is this financial income, this financial outcome could be catastrophic for people if they take actions that are against their long-term plans. So let's talk about some of these things. The financial catastrophes that can happen if somebody doesn't stick to their plan and get to their outcome is, let's say people right now, with gas prices being so high, they just stick to their same driving patterns. They just live life the exact same way. So, Mark, you bought gas 3 weeks ago. How much does it typically take to fill up your car?
Now, well over $50.
How much did it cost a month ago?
Probably closer to that, around 40.
Okay. And you fill your car up once, twice, 3 times a month, 4 times a month?
It's rapidly becoming less and less as I drive less and less.
Yeah. And so you're creating, you're doing something that a lot of people will choose to do. So as opposed to keeping the same pattern of driving, where you fill up 4 times a month for $160, now you'll fill up 3 times a month for $160, and you'll drive less.
Right.
And that's an outcome that people will adjust in their life to do. But here's the thing: is some people can't choose to do that.
Right.
I mean, people who drive into work every day, they can't choose to do that. So what they end up doing is they don't adjust their lifestyle any other way at all. They just continue putting on their credit card, and then a year from now, they're going to have this credit card bill, and you're like, where in the hell did that come from?
Yep.
And it's because adjustments were not being made. In the art of war, you have to, when somebody attacks you from one side, you have to defend yourself and counterattack. And so when things that are out of your control, like gas prices going through the roof, I can't control that, you can't control that. When that happens, our job is to counterattack that and make a different result as a process. And so when outside things come our way, we have to look internally to change our habits. And the resources, so those resources for changing those is a budget. Everybody needs a budget, right? To have a proper financial outcome, everybody needs a budget. How do we spend our money? And boy, we get away from that simple talk sometimes when we're talking about stock market moves or commodity moves with oil prices, or man, I need to invest in this thing or that thing or this cryptocurrency or that cryptocurrency. It's going through the roof. But the basis of all financial outcomes is how you treat your budget. And so when historical things happen, those who are most successful go back to the most basic of things. It's a budget. And then when they look at that and realize, man, my gas budget is $150 a month, and boy, instead of filling up 4 times, I can only fill up 3 times. Well, I need to adjust something.
Right.
If I'm going to fill up 4 times, I got to pull back from somewhere else. I got to pull back from, drinking alcohol, or I got to pull back from going out at night. I can't buy that extra Amazon thing. And so it's a cyclical thing that happens. And when you make choices to, keep going to buying gas and you pull back from somebody else, that's when small businesses are impacted. That's when big businesses are impacted. That's just when economies get crushed, just absolutely crushed. That's the historical event that's happening right now. Is people's 401ks, their thrift savings plans, their IRAs are going down in value. And so if people don't adjust their budget, then they go and they try to adjust their savings. They try to become more conservative. And the only time you lock in a loss is when you sell. Mm-hmm. And if the market's down and you don't need the money for a long term and you sell now, you just locked in a loss. See, so people get trapped in history, what we're doing right now. They get trapped into thinking I've got to make big, major moves or everything's going to hell in a handbasket. So my future is going to be crippled because of something I can't control, a war, oil prices, the stock market going down, all these things I can't control. They're going to make moves to become more conservative. And there's appropriate times to do that, but it has nothing to do with foreign wars, oil prices, the value of your crypto. It has everything to do with when you need the money. Mm-hmm. And so the story that's unfolding in front of us, historical story that we're going to be talking about for the next few years, 100 years from now, we won't be talking about it. That story we're talking about now, combined with the resources. The resources are very personal. They're the budget that you have in the time frame that you have to save money. Those resources are what really drive your ideas. You cannot have an idea and execute it well when you're anxious about the outcome or you're overthinking something you can't control. And so when we talk about turning ideas into money all the time, we don't turn ideas into money overnight. That's called winning the lottery. Mm-hmm. I'll throw numbers out there, and if somebody wants to go play them 2, 8, 9, 13, 14, 5 with a Powerball number of 7. If that wins tonight, wow. Right? That's how random winning the lottery is. It's just picking numbers out. That doesn't happen. We don't turn into ideas into money by picking and going to the lottery. We do it by budgeting, systematic planning, and thinking on the long term. Mm-hmm. It's not short term at all.
It's not luck.
So it's not luck. It's not. I mean, there's people that are born into money, mm-hmm. and they generally take that money to new heights. There's people that are not born into money that get super wealthy rich. And then there's people who just daily save a little bit through payroll deductions and their retirement plans. They do it for 28, 29, 30 years and end up millionaires. That's the new numbers. We get numbers on 401k participation. We call them retirement millionaires. Mm-hmm. We just got the numbers on the thrift savings plan millionaires for federal employees. And the number of TSP millionaires, people who have $1 million or more in their thrift savings plan, that's the federal government's deferred compensation plan. That number went over 100,000 for the first time in history as of December 31st, 2021. First time that's happened. It's actually 112,000 federal employees. The average tenure of those employees was 28 years and something months. They got to be millionaires not for working for the federal government for 5 years and saving. They got to be millionaires because they saved over a very long period of time, 28 plus years, and they invested with that in mind. Mm. And so history, those people who are millionaires, by the way, in the thrift savings plan, over the last 28 years, they've seen that dot-com bubble burst. They've seen the negative returns of 01, 02, 03. They said they saw the financial catastrophe of 08, 09 that quickly reached new highs in 2010, 2011. They saw the negative market of 2018. They went through COVID and the market downturns there. And, oh, my God, they're still millionaires. They still did it. they hit their number and they hit their goals. And so history, we live history. I mean, there's billions of people that came before us who lived during the bubonic plague and, the Roman Empire and, Jesus Christ days and, all of these historical events. They lived through them all. We don't talk about many of those people, but just like them living through those events, people have walked on the ground I'm walking on before me, and there'll be people who walk on this same ground after me. Because in the grand scheme of things, we talk about owning a lot, but we are only renting space on this earth for a very short period of time. And it's how we work and we build our story, we identify our resources, and we turn those ideas into money. That's what our history lesson will be about us. And, my story, I talked about it here before, is my grandmother. My grandmother teaching me and giving me a love for this through a college sandwich business. One of the biggest missions I have in this world is I believe everybody has two deaths. It's the day you die, you physically die. And the second death is the day your name is last mentioned on this earth. So, my grandmother's been dead for a while now. She lived over 90 years, but, one of the missions is for my kids, when I'm gone, to still be talking about their father and their father's story of their grandmother and maybe my great-grandkids. And so maybe my granny will be talked about 200 years from now. Probably not. She's not going to be in a history book. But history within family lives longer than what's in history books.
That's right.
And so, although we're living history right now, this history we're living right now is just part of our personal story. We cannot, I feel so bad for the 2 million plus Ukrainian citizens who are fleeing war. I feel so bad for them. I wish nobody had to ever go through that. And if me paying $5 a gallon at the gas stops this from happening sooner rather than later, hell, I'll do it. I'll do it in a heartbeat. But this history we're leaving right now is short in terms of its impact on us, and it'll just be a blip. And when we stick to our budget, stick to our long-term plans, we can still be millionaires and hit our goals later in life. So the big idea today is embrace what you're doing, focus on what you are and what you have planned for yourself, and don't react in fear or with anxiety about what you can't control. Focus on what you can control.
And guys, that so holds true, not just in your financial life, but in just all facets, your work life, your personal life. One of the old adages I've always lived by is plan your work and work your plan. Because, really, you can't have one without the other, or you just have chaos. So remember to get out your phones, follow on Instagram, Ideas by Mike, and bookmark the website, meetwithmikemilligan.com. That's meetwithmikemilligan.com. And remember, Mike and the team are the ones who are answering those emails, those questions, those messages you send on Instagram, and they'll get back to you because they want to hear from you about your ideas and how to turn those ideas into money. Follow the podcast and send it out to all of your friends here on audio and video, and share the knowledge that you're taking home to have financial success. Thank you, Mike, for another great show. And we will see you next week.